Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome into Best on the Board here at The Athletic. It is Thursday, November 11th, and Thursday, of course, means start of the NFL week. Plenty of college action to get into. That's exactly what we're going to do here on Best on the Board. I am joined, as always, by Dan Santaromita and the ever-hot Dan Santaromita, 6-1 over the last 3 weeks on this show. Dan, what's going on?
I'm happy to finally hit something. It was for a while there. I hit 1-1 for like 5 straight weeks. So I'm sure this will go back the other direction now so they can fade me now in advance.
Oh, I don't know about that, man. Ari Wasserman also here. Ari, I mean, I feel like we just got to maybe sit back for the next 17 minutes of the show and just let Dan make a bunch of picks and then tail him.
I don't know if this is like bad podcasting, throwing your co-host under the bus, but Dan gets another loss for my North Carolina play last week.
I was going to get to it when we mentioned the records. I was going to get to it.
No, but betting the under of that game was not my finest moment. And my favorite thing about betting unders is that like you usually know in the second quarter when you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that is dead. And North Carolina, because I wanted to play the North Carolina game straight up against Wake, and I didn't. And then when they were down, I think, was it 14 or 17 in the third quarter, or 6-1, I popped on and I got that money. So,
there you go.
I'm sorry if you guys bet the under, but I'm pretty hot in real life too. So let's ride.
Yeah,
and I hit a Mac over on Wednesday night, believe it or not.
I do remember you saying in that episode, I want to empty my bank account on North Carolina -2.5. So I heard that. We all heard it.
Yeah,
it was on the show.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I just took a little bit out of my bank account and put it at 6-1.
We could all go back to the tape and remind ourselves of that. But Dan hot in the show, Ari hot in real life. Let's keep that rolling here. Let's keep that good mojo rolling on this episode of Best on the Board. It was another 1-1 for a week for you last week, Ari. Dan at 2-0. My props both came up a tiny bit short. It's not going to scare me off of the props this week because there are a couple of props in Ravens and Dolphins that I do like, but that is not where we are going to start. We are going to kick off this episode with Ari, one of the big games of the week, Baylor and Oklahoma. Baylor 5.5-point dogs in this game. And I'm in a college football pool, you guys, where we pick somewhere between like 12 and 15 games. The guy who runs it decides, but somewhere in that range every week. We have to pick every game against the spread and straight up, and you get bonus points if you pick the dog, and then they end up winning outright. And this is one that I'm just not sure of what to do with. So, Ari, try to steer me in a direction here on Baylor and Oklahoma.
Let me ask you this bluntly.
Okay.
Is Baylor going to be the best opponent that Oklahoma has faced this year?
Yes, right?
Yeah.
I think so. And there's just something – I think that Oklahoma has been trying to tell us who they are, and their helmet is making it hard to listen. It's like if you were to take Oklahoma, their offensive production, the way that they've looked in games, the fact that they've almost lost multiple times, and just assign them another random Big 12 team, and then they were going to lay 5.5 against Baylor this week on the road. It would just be there's no doubt about it, right? And I understand that they've changed their quarterback. Caleb Williams is a very, very good player. I covered him extensively when he was a recruit. I understand that Oklahoma can drop 60 on anybody at any given time if and when that offense comes around. But right now, I think it's time to start giving credence in just how good Baylor is. I mean, if you look at their schedule, they've only lost twice. The 2 games they lost on the road, Oklahoma State, who's a top 10 team this week, and TCU, who I think is, kind of a mess right now, but also at the same time, a very veteran team that has a lot of talent back from a year ago. So, to me, 5.5 is always a tricky number, and you'll see that, later on in the show, I've got another 5.5. It's just in no man's land on the road. Oklahoma hasn't really been a dominant force, and I actually believe that Baylor in this scenario seems to be the right move. And I think the public is probably just going to bet the helmet, and I think that Oklahoma has been trying to tell us who they are, and I'm going to listen to them.
Yeah, when you got 5.5, you're laying 5.5. You're basically laying a touchdown. Just the nature of how football scoring works, and so I think that's something that always feels a little tricky. Almost like odds makers are trying to goad you into say, no, it's not 6.5. It's 5.5. You've got that extra little point there, and so I think there is something in that sort of gambling theory that leads us to Baylor too here. Dan, you're about to chime in. What do you got on this game?
Yeah, I just think, like Ari's saying, Oklahoma has had so many close games that they could have slipped up in, and Baylor might actually be the team good enough to take advantage and finally give Oklahoma that loss. I like the spot for that reason. Is Caleb Williams that different to you, though? Does he really change them enough or not at all?
I think he's much different in terms of talent, like pure talent. I think he's probably a step ahead of Spencer Rattler, but I also know that he's only started a few games and they're going on the road. Like the fact that this game is in Waco is really attractive to me. Like if this game were at home or in Norman, I might not want to play it. It still would be attracted to the 5.5. But the fact that it's on the road in a game where the Baylor Bears are probably anxious to continue, having one of the better, more unexpected seasons this year. I just don't know if I believe that Oklahoma is going to be going into anybody's house and winning, comfortably. I mean, if you go look at Oklahoma's schedule this year, I mean, how many teams have they truly blown out? I mean, they beat Tulane by 5. They beat Nebraska by 7. They beat West Virginia by 3, Kansas State by 6, Texas by 7. The only game that they really won comfortably by a score is TCU, and that was a home game. On the road, they struggled with Kansas for 3 quarters, and then, obviously they had a pretty good game last time out against Texas Tech. But I think Baylor's a really good football team. 5.5 is a touchdown to me, and I don't know if I'd be willing to lay that there.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot for sure for Oklahoma, and one of the big games of the weekend, definitely one that we will be watching super closely. Ari on record. Baylor, 5.5-point dogs. We're going with the Bears here against Oklahoma. Dan, you're up next. Take us out west, Arizona State and Washington. Another line that I don't know. I don't know exactly what to make of this one. This is another one that's in my pool, so hopefully you're going to guide me in the right direction here. But Arizona State, 6-point favorites right now on BetMGM. What do you got in this game for us, Dan?
Yeah, I like the Sun Devils to cover about a touchdown on the road. And the reason, I talked about this last week when I went on the under with Washington, Oregon. I'll thank the rain for that. I get some credit for mentioning that it was on the forecast. But I just don't think Washington has the offense to keep up with a team like Arizona State, right? Washington has only scored more than 24 points twice, and that was against Arkansas State and Cal. And Arizona State is a much better team than those two. So, Washington is a really good defensive team. They have no offense. Here's what the points totals they've put up in their last 5 games in the Pac-12. 24, 17, 21, 20, 16. And Arizona State can go into the 40s pretty easily. They may not do that against Washington, but they don't need to cover 6 points. So I don't know. I think Arizona State, at least a touchdown better, even on the road. Washington can't keep up in a shootout. It's that simple.
All right, let me go to you with this one. The Pac-12, with what we've seen in that conference this year, and we still have Oregon sitting in those playoff rankings. Any thoughts on Arizona State, Washington? Is there anything you want to do with this? Is it an easy stay away for you?
The system to pull behind closed curtains here is we provide our picks to Michael before the show, and Dan did first, and this was going to be one of my plays, and I didn't because I didn't want to be redundant. This to me, I think that we have to be on Washington giving up alert too. Because their season is a complete disaster. Their coach is in hot water right now. Did you guys see that call? Last week, I was dumb enough to play Washington +7 in the Oregon game. That felt pretty good for 3 quarters. And then Jimmy Lake punted from his own 10-yard line with 2 minutes. It's just I just don't have any confidence whatsoever in Washington to even have a pulse. And I think that the numbers there add up pretty well. And I'm going to play this game. I'm playing it because – like everything Dan said with the offensive numbers, I've seen Arizona State when things are working. I know Washington has a good defense, but I also think there's a 60% chance this team is going to pack it in. So, I know it's on the road and it might be a little bit colder than it is in Tempe, but I love this play.
All right, a double endorsement for Arizona State -6 at Washington. I am going to take us over to the NFL game, Thursday Night Football, Week 10 kicking off, Ravens and Dolphins. Don't love the line, you guys. Ravens are 7.5-point favorites. I would lean toward the Ravens. It's a big number to lay on the road for any team in the NFL, no matter who they're playing. We also have from BetMGM data coming out this morning of a lot of handle coming in on the Dolphins. 21% of bets at BetMGM are on the Dolphins +7.5, but 34% of the money is on the Dolphins at +7.5. So that scares me away from that. It's going to be a couple of props for me. And the first one, Jalen Waddle to go over 5.5 catches is 100. You guys, Jalen Waddle, last 4 games, 13 targets, 8 targets, 11 targets, 10 targets, catches, 10, 7, 4, and 8. This is the number 1 receiver in Miami by far. He has done it with Tua Tagovailoa. He has done it with Jacoby Brissett. It will likely be Jacoby Brissett tonight, but I don't care who it is. He is very easily the number 1 receiver. Almost certainly no Devontae Parker out there for the Dolphins as well. So those opportunities are going to be there for him in spades. I would expect another double-digit target game. And Jalen Waddle this year, guys, has 6 games where he's had at least 8 targets. And in those 6 games, he has given us at least 6 catches 5 times. I just don't see him not getting to 8. Frankly, I don't see him not getting to 10 targets in this game. It's a volume play, and we get plus 100 on it at BetMGM. Give me all the Jalen Waddle that I can possibly handle tonight, even though, you guys, I'm not sure what to make of this Dolphins team with Jacoby Brissett at the quarterback position.
I'll give you credit, dude. Like, your props either hit or they are excruciatingly tough losses. Yeah. I don't remember what the prop was last week. Did we miss it by 2 yards or something?
We missed. Michael Pittman over, came up 2 yards short, and then Ty Johnson under rush yards was under the whole time, and he had his 4th carry of the game came with like 3 minutes left, and that's what put him over.
I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm on. I'm rolling.
Let's do it. Let's get in. And like we've said so many times, books, BetMGM, and all the others are really juicing props in a way that makes them sort of unattractive bets. So when I see one that's plus 100 that I like as much as I do with Jalen Waddle, feel very good about it. So
and I showed you that. I showed you my book, the prop that you bet last week. I was at minus 140, and I think you were at minus 110, right?
110, 110 or 115.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so
minus
like I got
minus
like
140
friends in Vegas to put bets in for me.
Yeah, seriously, I'm dismissing a minus 140 prop out of hand, regardless. No matter how much I like it, I'm just not paying that sort of juice on a prop. But plus 100. Definitely like that, getting that from BetMGM. And of course, our friends at BetMGM right now are offering you a great deal. You can bet $10 to win $200, plus get a free 3-month subscription to The Athletic. Just go to betmgm.com/TABest to take advantage of this offer from the king of sportsbooks. Again, bet $10, win $200, plus a full free year at The Athletic. All you got to do is go to theathletic.com, or go to betmgm.com/TABest to take advantage of this offer from the king of sportsbooks. One more time, bet 10 to win 200, plus a free year subscription to The Athletic. Just go to betmgm.com/TABest to take advantage of this offer. It's a new customer offer for BetMGM customers. Terms and conditions apply. All right, guys, next up, you guys both have a pick on the same game here. In fact, Virginia and Notre Dame, one of the more interesting games also of the weekend. So let's have you guys both take this one first. Let's go with the side. I want to go with the side first. Ari, you've got the side. Dan's got to play on the total. So first, Ari, take us through your pick on the side and why you like that particular play.
So if you look at total offensive points per game nationally, I think Virginia is number 11 overall. I mean, they're averaging 38.9 points a game. And, they're a very efficient offense. And I know that there are some people who are a little bit afraid of Brennan Armstrong's availability because of that rib injury that he suffered last time out. But the anticipation is that he's going to be available and playing in this game. I think Virginia is a very good football team, and above average team. And I know that, their 3 losses, I think, are all understandable too. On the road at North Carolina, who you all know I love.
Love them.
Wake Forest, who, up until last week was undefeated, and then on the road at BYU. And I know their defense is at times been problematic, which is probably going to be a nice segue into Dan's play. But I'm not necessarily sure that I'm a believer in Notre Dame being a top 10 team this year. I know that they've only lost one time, and the team that they lost to is in the top 6 of the college football playoff poll. But Notre Dame, to me, I think is a average version of itself, and going on the road against a team that can put up 40 points pretty regularly. I think, again, we're in that no man's land of 5.5. You're basically laying a touchdown there. I believe that Virginia has a chance to maybe win this game outright, but if not, they're going to put up enough points to cover the 5.5.
Yeah, like you said, the shootout possibility here really excites me. That BYU game, I think when they put up a ton of points in the first 2 or 3 quarters, I think the live total at one point was like 120 or something ridiculous. It was just, they couldn't stop scoring. So, yeah, I think this is wild because we've talked about some high totals on this show before, and this one's only at 64 and a half. And I don't think that's a big enough number, really. All right, like you said, Virginia's offense actually lead the country in yards per game at almost 550 a game. And then their defense allows the 9th most yards per game. So this team is like this, like Ole Miss has been getting those high totals, and I think it actually should be on Virginia. The only games that have gone under for them are when they've blown out teams like Illinois or Duke or something, and I don't think they're going to blow out Notre Dame. I don't think we're worried about that possibility where it's like a 40-7 or something we've seen them do in a few games. So yeah, over here, I just think it could be really, really high. Notre Dame, this is their toughest game left in their schedule. If Notre Dame is going to make any sort of push towards, if not the playoff, then a New Year's Six bowl, like they have to be fired up for this one, which is why I'm leaning towards the total instead of the side. But I'm with you on Virginia and the over.
Yeah, Notre Dame's defense, I think, ranks 60th in total defense, giving up almost 400 yards a game this year. So, I like the ability here on the road for Virginia. I mean, that Notre Dame's on the road for Virginia to put up some points here. I understand a lot of times like trying to safeguard yourself by going on overs and unders in these situations. But sometimes I also feel like these over and under, it's just a complete crapshoot in this weird sport that we love, college football. I mean, the over this game, I mean, the total could get up to 100 points, or it could be a 28-24 game, because it's just like, Notre Dame and whatever, it kind of mucks things up a little bit. But I like both sides. I'm probably going to play them. Dan can't lose, so that means I'm going to help. I'm going to tail him and bring him back down to earth.
I mean, I was going to ask too, Dan, but you brought it up yourself that you also don't love the side, but you lean Virginia. And if you're going to be playing an over 64.5, not the craziest total for a college game, but if you're going to be playing an over, you like it being a close game. You like both teams having to go back and forth and no one really being able to just sit back and say, all right, we've got this one figured out. So definitely like the fact that this could be a close one. Virginia plus 5.5, and this game going over the 64.5. My last pick for the show, you guys, let's get Lamar Jackson going again, because this guy just can't be stopped right now. He made a stark MVP case for himself last week when you consider the other quarterback performances that were out there. A dud out of Matthew Stafford, a dud out of Dak Prescott, a dud out of Josh Allen. Tom Brady was on a bye, and there's Lamar winning a 34-31 overtime game against the Vikings and really doing it in true Lamar fashion, running for 120 yards, throwing for 266 and 3 touchdowns. And I just think this number is too low. 63.5 is his rushing yard prop at BetMGM. I think it's too low. 120 last week, 88 the week before. This is a guy who is going over this total with regularity. He's been over 63.5 4 times this season. One time he was at 62. Just one time this year he has been south of 50 yards rushing. I do not see anything changing for him, anything changing for the way that the Ravens play this game or try to win this game against the Dolphins. He's the true unique running quarterback in that his running is so central to what they do, and they do it so well. Like Jalen Hurts running is so central to what Philly does, but Philly's not a very good team. Lamar Jackson does it for a team that is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And so I just think that anytime we see his props sitting in the low 60s like this, and they're favored by 7.5 points as they are, it's one that I want to get down on. I feel very good about Lamar being able to go over this number. So 63.5 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson goes over it. That's my second play of the day. Hopefully you guys are going to ride with me, but I've got one more thing to ask you, because we have Thursday night college football also, and it involves maybe the team that is most central to the Thursday edition of Best on the Board. North Carolina. Ari,
what side I'm
North
on,
Carolina.
buddy.
What do you got here? What do you got for us?
I like the pain. Like, that's my favorite part about game. I'm rolling. I mean, this isn't an official Best on the Board play.
No.
But if anybody wants to enjoy the torture I like to put myself through, come right on the heels of me tonight, because 7 points for a team that can score like points. That. Sam Howell is playing pretty well. I don't know. What do you think? To me, every single time North Carolina is involved in a game, and Pitt, listen, and I have the shtick on the Andy Staples show. But I joke that you can never bet on a Pitt game because you don't know if you're going to get the 2000 Ravens or if you're going to get the 2000 Browns or the 2001 Browns. And, it's just a complete crapshoot. But, North Carolina to me seems like a team that might be on the verge of figuring it out. 7 points is a lot, and I don't trust Pitt as far as I can throw them. So, to me,
there we go.
This is going to be a pure entertainment play. And if I get hurt, then it's on me. But Daddy's hot right now, guys. So, like,
man, I like that. I think we got to. Next week we're going to add that. Next week we're going to have our picks, and then we're going to have pure entertainment plays, PEPs, to add to best.
You guys do that, right? Or am I just a degenerate? Like, if there's a game on television, like I have to play it.
Does any gambler not do that? I had the most ridiculous Bears Steelers Monday night bets. Like, well, I'm gonna watch, so like I might as well do something fun with this. Justin Fields rushing yards over. Keep getting on that, guys, while people are not adjusting to Justin Fields finally unleashing his rushing ability. You
gave us the Viking, or I texted Michael on the side on Sunday. I was like, come on, give me your NFL plays. And the over and the unders both hit. And I was just over the moon. So I don't know if you guys do this, but I also hedge my own happiness. So like if I'm in I'm in a pretty expensive fantasy football league. So if I'm like down to, like, I had Najee Harris down 10 points. So like I hit every Najee Harris under on Monday, and all 3 of them hit, and I won the game, which was the most amazing thing in the entire world.
I did the same thing. I was playing Najee against someone who had Najee Harris and Chase Claypool. So I just took Najee and Claypool, over props and anytime touchdowns. So the Najee one, they ultimately came out even because the Najee's hit and and Claypool's came out as losers.
Yeah, I also won by 1 point because Najee got an extra yard after that crazy unsportsmanlike conduct penalty at the end of the game, and won by like 0.75 and hit all the under props. It was a top 5 moment of my life.
That right there is beautiful. That's what we do it for. That's what we do this for. It's what we do fantasy for. It's why we love this so much.
That's all props are to me, dude. Like, it's just watching fantasy football on permanent. So. And like I just find it like really difficult. It's like watching the Steelers just hand the ball off to Chase Claypool out of the backfield 9 times when I needed 1 yard from Najee to get over the point total. Just like Shooter McGavin on the green with his arms out, like, like come on.
It's like It's like we already torture ourselves enough with this stuff. It's like, let's find one little way, just a little tweak. It's like taking this form of torture and this form of torture and combining them, right? And just making it. It's like we don't feel like it's like a sense of relief when we win them. And so hopefully we can keep that going here this week. That's going to do it for this episode of Best on the Board. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck in all the bets you have, whether they be UNC getting the 7th against Pitt tonight, something with Ravens-Dolphins, something over the weekend, whatever it might be. Good luck to you. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Happy betting.